Up next, we'll have Mr. Shawal from International University of Malaya-Wales, who'll share with you everything there is to know about navigating social media and how hashtags can power social change. If you just joined us, welcome to our webinar series that's part of the EduAdvisor's Virtual Education Fair. We have an exciting lineup of speakers who will be weighing in on a variety of topics such as the overview of global security career landscape, medicine as a career choice, navigating social media and the power of hashtags, and tips and tricks in navigating your academic pathway. We have our next speaker in the stream. Mr. Shah, I'm going to pull you right in.
All right.
Hi, Shah. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this.
It's a Saturday, so all right. So to those of you who just joined in, my name is Nina. I'm your host for today, and right now we have Mr. Shawal, head of the School of Communication and Technology from the International University of Malaya-Wales, who'll be sharing with us about navigating social media and how the Free Britney and Me Too movements powered social change. So a little background about this esteemed speaker today. Heading the School of Communication and Technology, Mr. Shawal manages 7 programs from several fields, including communication, computer science, and information technology. He has a vast experience in specializes in media studies, media effects, journalism, social media, and communication psychology. All right, Mr. Shawal, I see your slides are here. If you're ready,
Yep.
all right. Before we begin, to everyone watching, if you have any questions from Mr. Shawal, do leave your comments in respective platforms below, and we will get them answered at the end of the session. Also, don't forget to check out International University Malaya-Wales virtual booth while you're at the fair. All right, Mr. Shawal, I will share your slides right now.
Okay.
All right, okay, you can present now.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good. Basically, hi. How are you? And good afternoon. And I hope you guys had, a good lunch and you guys are feeling happy, all tummy happy and all that. My name is Muhammad Shawal, and I'm from the School of Communication and Technology, International University of Malaya-Wales. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining this webinar today. I can see some familiar names here, my colleagues, my boss, my friends, okay? I want to thank the organizer for inviting me to give this web talk, basically. Okay, so it's going to be an interesting one as we're discussing about something that is very new and topical. If you are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, or Reddit, I believe most of you are aware about the Me Too movement, and last year, the media is all about the Black Lives Matter movement. And this year, we have the Free Britney movement, okay? So what is the common denominator in all this conversation? Social media, okay? So today I'll be talking about the impact of social media itself, okay? Today's webinar is titled Navigating Social Media, How the Free Britney and Me Too movements powered social change, okay? So social media platform have long been a place for like-minded people to congregate, okay, to get together in online tribes and community to discuss everything from their favorite TV shows, to alien conspiracy theories. Okay, if you're following me on social media, I'm also pretty active in some of these discussions, okay? These platforms give users the opportunity to share and discuss their views on an open forum. The spectrum of content shared on social media that has broadened over time has given rise to a new opportunity to share news of social injustice and call agreeing users to unite in the face of inequality. The no-filter nature of social media, where users can upload content as and when, or even live stream it as it is happening, means that the possibility of seeking something shocking or disturbing is only ever a few tweets away. Okay, like what Will Smith said recently. I think recently. I think quite late last year, he said something about racism is somewhere. It's never going away, and it's not right now. It's being filmed, okay? So it's always constantly going on. But it is this very quality of social media platforms like Twitter that can fill people with the disgust-driven passion to make positive changes in the world. The exposure of wrongdoings to the world can be captured on a mobile phone and uploaded straight to social for the world to see. Means holding people accountable for their wrongdoings. Okay, fundamentally, people can no longer hide. Okay. Social media has quickly replaced all other media outlets in being the quickest and easiest way to consume up-to-date information on the current events. When it comes to activism, it is instrumental in circulating information to all those who might want it, getting details of protests, okay, for example, in front of millions of eyes in seconds, just by using the right keywords and the right hashtags, okay? To understand how we're here, we need to go back to how media was back then. Okay, if we look at the history of media itself, we can divide it into several phases. Okay, in the 80s and 90s, we're all glued to the traditional forms of media: television, newspapers, magazine, radio. Our source of information is always from official media organization. Okay, ABC News, CNN, BBC, or in Malaysia we have TV3, RTM, Newsweek Time. Okay, then September 11 happened, and people start to have this distrust towards the media. Yeah? The sudden surge of technology and cheaper internet allows people, like us, to find alternative sources. Okay, people quickly turn to the non-traditional media. By the new millennium, millions of blogs, start popping up. We have LiveJournal, Blogspot, WordPress. Back in the early 2000s, I was also quite active in blogging and all that. And we call this citizen journalism, okay? And we thought this is so advanced already. Then in the late 2000, okay, people are introduced to the Web 3.0, the social media. Okay, so Friendster has become this blueprint of social media, okay, followed by MySpace. Suddenly a surge of new social media pops up, okay? We have Facebook, Twitter back then. Now we have this platform where people can make new friends and new connections, okay? Every day, for example, if I go to social media, I can make new friends. I can join this conversation, but not everything is rainbow, when it comes to social media. Social media suddenly become this platform where people can say anything about anything. I can easily tweet about my bad day, bad day at work, and then tweet about how much I hate someone, etc., etc. Yeah. Social media became this place for cyberbullying, negative postings. People post a lot of excuse my language here, I would say shit, on social media. People can actually say anything, people post anything. So, but despite the gloomy reality, social media also became this beacon of hope for a lot of people. It became a place where people can learn and discuss new things, okay? People can also report injustice, or socially effed up things like, the things that they witnessed. Like this week, where 8 Asians was killed in the US, and everyone is talking about how the media is talking about it. They use the word like, instead of using the word terrorist, they use the words like, oh, he's a bad kid who's having a bad day, something like that. So everyone's talking about how the media is treating the fellow, and the media is erupted with hashtags like "Stop Asian Hate" and all that. Okay, social media is not just a place for meme and pop culture. It's also a place where people churn out thought pieces, okay, and discuss heavy topics nowadays. This gave birth to Me Too and the Free Britney movement, okay? So I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay. In 2017, an explosive story came out regarding one of the biggest movie producers in Hollywood, okay, Harvey Weinstein. It was released and it shook, okay, the world. Celebrities started to talk about their experiences, and this led to change of discourse in social media. Women start to talk about their sexual assaults, experiences, and the word "Me Too" came out. Okay, instead of staying in social media, this discourse led to a discussion about pay gap between men and women. The Congress, the U.S. Congress is now they give attention to sexual harassment cases, and even there's a discussion about the ratio between men and women in workspace. Okay, and you think that this conversation only happened in America? Let's review back to what was discussed in Malaysia a few years back. Okay, if you look at our news, people are talking about how the involvement of women in politics. Okay, the ratio of female and male in the cabinet previously. Okay, about female safety on male-dominated jobs. Okay, on Twitter there was discussion about how a female, she's the head engineer, and she was not sexually assaulted, but she was harassed almost on daily basis because she's the only woman in her workspace. She was an engineer, okay? And there's a lot more conversation that is, relatable, okay? So this Me Too movement led to a discussion regarding treatment of female by the media, and this is basically the basis of the Free Britney movement. Okay, a few years later. Okay, in 2019, a voicemail by a paralegal, okay, was released on a podcast on regarding the American pop star Miss Britney Spears, and this led to a fan-led movement called the Free Britney. Okay, hashtag Free Britney. The movement was pretty much low-key and slowly gaining momentum throughout 2020. Last year, people were like discussing on Twitter, like Free Britney and all that. They were discussing about all the assault that she's been having over the past 13 years. But in February 2021, which is last month, New York Times released a documentary that shed a light on the pop star's conservatorship. Okay, so conservatorship basically is a situation where if you can't run your personal life, someone is being given a territory over your life, basically. So for Miss Britney Spears, basically she can't do anything. She can't get married. She can't vote. She can't, basically, if she wants to pay, if she wants to buy something, for example, like a Starbucks drink, she needs to get approval from her father. She cannot drive. She cannot be in a relationship. Everything needs to be approved. Okay, so this conversation is definitely for another time. Okay, because there's a lot to be discussed. But the documentary titled "Framing Britney Spears." Okay, framing. If you heard the word framing is one of the theories, one of the biggest theory in communication itself. Okay, the documentary shed a light on how female celebrities were treated by the media. Okay, so if we looking back at the clips today, looking back at those clips from her interviews in the 90s, in the early 2000s, where the media asked about her breasts, she was 18, 17, and the media was like, oh, did you had a breast surgery? And then, her ex-boyfriend, Justin Timberlake, was talking about her virginity on a radio show, seems to be very, I would say, very negative if we were to do it nowadays, okay? Back then, we won't be having this discussion. But in recent years, after the Me Too movement, okay, topics like this are heavily discussed, okay? The documentary basically helped the movement, okay? Britney dominated Google trending topics throughout February and early March, okay? And everyone on Twitter is, talking about this, about her conservatorship, about conservatorship abuse. Nowadays people are, talking about this in late night skits and all that. And even Netflix released a movie called I Care a Lot, which shed a light about this conservatorship abuse. Okay, so social media is erupted with discussion about how the pop star was treated by the media, sexualizing her, back then. And then there are unnecessary, paparazzis are taking unnecessary photograph. For example, like when she gave birth to her kid, paparazzi was actually waiting under the car to take a picture of her vagina, just to prove that, Britney gave birth. Okay? So, etc. There's a lot of things actually going on. Okay, so let's circle back to our initial question: can social media helps to make social change? Okay, so based on our talk today, I do believe so. If you learn sociology, in order to make change, you need 4 reasons. Okay, in order to make social change, you need 4 reasons. Okay, the first one is social institution, population, environment, and technology. So yes, I do believe that social media falls in all of this. Okay, social media is basically our social institution. Population, there's a lot of people on social media. Environment, okay, social media actually, it became this place where people actually create these topics of discussions. Okay, and it's also a part of technology. Okay, so okay, how does social media help power social change? Okay, the first one, social media let us communicate more messages to more people, okay, more quickly. Survivors are able to share their stories quickly with a large audience. Okay, communicating their realities with more people. These stories increase awareness. Okay, for example, like I have a lot of friends who experience sexual abuse, sexual harassments. I believe a lot of male and female actually had sexual harassment even in public. And people are now discussing about it. Okay, Number two, social media provides a platform to share news and current events with others in a way that is not guided solely by mainstream media. Okay, in mainstream media we have gatekeepers. They were the one who actually decide what goes on the front page, what goes on on the news itself. And mainstream media often gets the story wrong. Okay, perpetuating stereotypes, making excuses for perpetrators, like what we had last week, where they said that the kid killed eight Asian people just because he had a bad day. Okay, social media enables survivors, allies, and advocates to react and respond to current events. Number three, social media provides a space for everyone to, be a voice, and join in crucial conversation all across the world. Okay, for example, like I'm in Malaysia. I actually joined the Free Britney rally yesterday, on social media because they were doing all these hashtags and all that, and I can join in and give information, give opinion about what's happening. Okay, and number four, social media creates a space to foster collaborative conversations across movements. Okay, social media makes collaboration engaging and accessible to activists and communities. Like I said just now, if I go online, I can just search keywords, like hashtags, okay, and then be a part of the conversation. Okay, I can create space. People can actually be a part of the conversation. For example, like what happened last month, people actually give money, to buy a billboard to make the case more, to make people more aware of what is happening. Like what happened with the Me Too movement a few years ago. Celebrities join in, journalists join in, and people join in. They chip in money, they create billboards, to just create awareness about this whole Me Too movement, and it gave a birth to this Time's Up movement and all that. So it's all interrelated. And lastly, social media gives us the power to call out injustice and inaccuracies by portraying realities. Okay, hashtags like Me Too and End Conservatorship Abuse or Stop Asian Hate have the ability to transform individual movement into unified, strong forces. Okay, like what happened last year during the pandemic. During the pandemic, everyone is like, we have to stay home. But all over the world, people are like, okay, you know what, this injustice toward Black people need to stop. So they create this hashtag, Black Lives Matter, and people went out, rally in a safety, in a safe way, with their mask and all that, and they create these strong forces of where people cannot stop. Okay, so I believe there is so much more to be done. Okay, but it is undeniable that the momentum of Black Lives Matter, Me Too, Free Britney movement would not have gained so much support, awareness, as such a following had it not been for the use of social media. These platforms, which we so willingly consume every day, okay, for hours. I can be on Twitter, on TikTok, for hours every day, and they are an instrumental tool in distributing information and motivating change. The power of a group of people sharing the same belief is one thing, but the power of millions of users worldwide standing in solidarity with one another through shared passion is another level of potential for change altogether. So I believe it's a very short conversation. So that's all. Thank you so much for listening. But before we move on to Q&A, I want to invite you to visit our university at www.iumw.edu.my and follow us on our socials, okay, at IUMW.edu.my or at the Com Squad if you are interested to learn about media and discuss topical issues in class. Feel free to DM us and ask us any question regarding our programs. Thank you. Nina, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Shawal. I'll just remove your stream. Okay. So wow, that was a very interesting conversation. I feel like there's a lot that I want to delve into as well.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm like, oh my god, I know about this.